Part 68. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 696. Chapter 77 Help. The second update is here. Sorry, I can't code it out. Something happened and it's unlucky, so I won't talk about it. It will be 8,000 words tomorrow, for sure. / left bracket. The fastest updates are all on SI Novel Network / Although he didn't have a good impression of Zhao Yuqi, it was not the time to argue with her right now, so Chu Xia went into the room and poured some water and handed it to her. With half a glass of water in her stomach, Zhao Yuqi finally regained her composure, grabbed Zhao Yulan's arm, and stared at Lin Baohe. Yulan, Baohe, you trust the second sister, right? How should Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe answer such a sentence without beginning or end? Staring at Zhao Yuqi with a troubled expression, neither of them said a word. Little sister, we are biological sisters from the same mother. Interrupting Zhao Yuqi, who wanted to continue playing the family card, Zhao Yulan said, second sister, let's talk about the matter directly, okay? Second sister-in-law is really not a human being. She led Qi Yan to complain, saying that it was me and your brother-in-law who replaced Chu Xia. At this time, your brother-in-law has been arrested. Yulan, Baohe, your brother-in-law, it's unfair, he doesn't know anything, and besides, he has always disagreed with me treating you like this, so how could he help me harm Chu Xia, don't you think so? Although it was not detailed enough, Chu Xia's family understood the general idea. Lin Xiahua took Zhao Qian to the commune to sue Zhang. Now, Zhang has been arrested? How can we arrest him? Chu Xia interrupted and asked. She found it a little unbelievable. Zheng Meili was not stupid at all. How could Zhang be arrested just based on the words of Lin Xiahua and Zhao Qian? Xue Ligong led the militia company and imprisoned your uncle. If he hadn't run away quickly after getting the news, my second aunt would have been arrested as well. Xia, your second uncle really loves you. He got my Feng's teacher spot for you, and his hands and feet were done by your second uncle, which has nothing to do with your second uncle. He knew I had done something, so he almost beat me up. Xia, the second aunt knows you are a good boy. Don't bear the grudge against the second aunt and save your second uncle, okay? Chu Xia looked puzzled. Second aunt, are you confused? How can I save my second uncle? Your father loves you the most. As long as you say a word, your father will definitely be able to help the second aunt. Zhao Yuqi stared at Lin Baohe eagerly. Baohe, last time you begged your brother-in-law, he agreed so happily. The fault is all on the second sister. Please save your brother-in-law, second sister, please. Looking at Zhao Yuqi, who was crying with runny nose, Lin Baohe looked at a loss. Second sister, how can I have that ability? You have it. As long as you are willing, you can definitely save your brother-in-law. Doesn't the old secretary in your village always feel that he owes you? Just ask him, and this matter will definitely be solved. The two soldiers who came to his house last time were from the same army as the ones who came to recruit now. As long as they help and say a few words, this matter will not be a problem at all. It turns out that this is the score she played, and she is quite well informed. Second aunt, isn't the eldest brother with Captain Zhang? Why don't you go and beg him? Chu Xia asked in confusion. Zhao Yuqi was stunned, then stood up. Why did I forget about him? I'm going to find him right away. Yes, Qi Liang must have a way. He ran out for 2 steps, turned around quickly, and pulled Lin Baohe out. He said, Baohe, please go and ask Lao Ji to call the head of the army. I will go find Qi Liang and try to rescue your brother-in-law as soon as possible. Chu Xia couldn't help but interrupt her. Second aunt, who did you hear that your second uncle was arrested? Teacher Song from the school went to the commune to get materials and saw it with his own eyes. Zhao Yulan burst into tears again. Xue Ligong also kicked your uncle. He was seeking revenge for personal reasons. I don't know where he got the information. He said if your uncle goes against him, he will not like your uncle. If that's the case, Captain Zheng and eldest brother must not be here. Stunned for a moment, Zhao Yuqi stared at Chu Xia blankly. Teacher Song doesn't know them and didn't say whether they were there or not. Alas, Chu Xia sighed with a look of helplessness. If eldest brother was here, how could he let Xue Ligong kick my second uncle? Second aunt, you didn't understand anything, so you ran back and asked my father to find Grandpa Dagong. Xue Ligong will kill your uncle immediately if he gets the chance. If the second aunt doesn't run away quickly, she will definitely be arrested and interrogated with your second uncle. When Teacher Song heard that Xue Ligong had arranged for someone to arrest me, he ran back to school to inform me without even taking any materials. His father was killed by criticism back then. If it hadn't been for your second uncle, he wouldn't have been a teacher. Otherwise, how could you be so anxious to tell me the news? After realizing what error this was, Chu Xia shut up and didn't say any more. How could Zhao Yuqi not be afraid after seeing too many people who were criticized to death for no reason? At this moment, she also understood why Zhao Yuqi made herself so embarrassed. I believe that along the way, she was running while worrying that Xue Ligong's people would catch her. No matter how much her second aunt complained about being overjoyed with Zhang Yu's hung back then, for her now, her second uncle was everything to her. Otherwise, there would be no need to worry. Like this? Or do people only know how to cherish when they face loss? No matter how Zhao Yuqi had been in the past, Zhang was really good to their family. He had never looked down on them when they met in Xiaolin village before. Therefore, Lin Baohe ran to Chen Fenggang's house. Second sister, I'll go with you. Zhao Yulan was afraid that something might happen to Zhao Yuqi on the way, so she followed her out, saying, Xia, keep a good watch on the door at home. Don't open the door for anyone to come. Wait until your parents come back. Chu Xia shook her head in a funny way. When Zhao Yulan came back from Xiaolin village a few days ago, she expressed her determination to sever ties with Zhao Yuqi. Now look at it, where is there any trace of it? It wasn't until evening that Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe came home. Chu Xia quickly poured boiled water for the two of them, and then served the food that had been heated a long time ago. Mom, Dad, are you tired? Let's eat first, it's still hot. There was no telephone in the village, so Lin Baohe and Chen Fenggang went to the commune to make the call. Therefore, Chu Xia was not surprised that his father and mother came back together. Alas, Zhao Yulan sighed heavily and shook her head. Mom can't eat it? Xia, let's eat it with your father. Eat, Lin Baohe glared at his wife. Even if something big happens, you can't lose your stomach. What will happen to our family if you get hungry and something goes wrong? It was rare for her husband to get angry, so Zhao Yulan picked up the chopsticks obediently. Your second aunt, you're not exaggerating. Zhao Yulan suddenly said this. Originally, she wanted to wait until her parents finished eating before asking, but now that Zhao Yulan was like this, she wouldn't be able to eat at all if she wasn't allowed to finish. Chu Xia simply put down her chopsticks and said, Mom, did my uncle really get beaten? They are all gone. Zhao Yulan sobbed. When your second aunt and I went there, Chief Zheng and the others had already gotten the news and rushed over. Otherwise, your second uncle might. How could Xue Ligong be so bold? Chu Xia looked surprised. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to subscribe and reward. Your support is my biggest motivation. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 697. Today's update, I've been exhausted from entertaining guests these past 2 days. The car stopped outside the gate of Chiao's house. When Chu Xia got out of the car, she happened to meet the man wandering at the door. The man was obviously stunned for a moment, and then his lips moved without making a sound. After giving him a faint glance, Chuxia walked through the door. Why do I think he looks so familiar? Luo Xiaoxian walked a few steps to catch up with Chuxia and asked in a low voice. Yao Xinchen, Lin Chuxia's former fiancé, Suqin's current fiancé. Oh. Luo Xiaoxian suddenly nodded repeatedly. Why do you look so familiar to me? By the way, does he want to get rid of you? Isn't he a little too thick-skinned? Chuxia spread her hands and said she couldn't answer her question. Then Lin Chuxia is too disappointed, isn't she? This man treated her like this, and now she is still meeting him, he muttered like this, and when he saw Lin Chuxia coming out to greet her, Luo Xiaoxian waved to her. Lin Chuxia, is that man named Yao Xinchen outside looking for you? Lin Chuxia's face turned red. I told him to never come to me again. I didn't know he was out there, really? You mean, if you knew he was outside, you would have gone to see him? Luo Xiaoxian asked. No, Lin Chuxia waved her hands repeatedly. I mean, if I knew he was outside, I would have gone out and chased him away. He has gone too far. I have told him several times, it's impossible to be with him. But he still came to me. I murmured. No further text. You don't know what to do, right? Chuxia asked. Yeah, Lin Chuxia nodded. His eyes were red. I really didn't provoke him on purpose. I just happened to meet him one time when I went out to buy things. He greeted me, and I thought, after all, we are fellow villagers. There is no need to act like the enemy. Just he responded. Then he asked me why I was in the county. I was feeling depressed and panicked at the time, so I told him about my situation. I actually just wanted to find someone to talk to, but I didn't expect that he would want to be with me again. Several times, he waited for me on my way to buy groceries. After knowing his thoughts, I told him my thoughts clearly, but he still stopped me. He told me that he regretted breaking up with me. He said that he only understood after being with others. What he really can't live without is me, anyway. It's that sentence that comes over and over again. Of course I know that he doesn't really want to be with me because he likes me, he only cares about my current job. I've been fooled once, and I certainly won't be fooled a second time. Early summer. Xiaoxian, you have to believe me. I cherish my current job opportunity and am studying very seriously. I will never have any thoughts that I shouldn't have. After all, this job was given to her by herself, that's why she was so flustered. Chuxia sighed slightly and nodded at her. I also believe you are not such a person, but when you work here, you shouldn't. These private matters are brought here. When guests come, it's really not good to find that there is always that man poking his head at the door, isn't it? I know. Lin Chuxia sniffed. I'm going to chase him away now. Ye Chuxia nodded and entered the house with Luo Xiaoxian. Of course she won't get involved in this matter. This is Lin Chuxia's private matter and must be resolved by Lin Chuxia herself. She has already provided her with a good job opportunity. Whether she can seize it or not depends on herself. Yao Xinchen, who was waiting outside the door, saw Lin Chuxia coming out and immediately expressed surprise. Chuxia, you finally came out. I have been waiting for you for nearly an hour. Lin Chuxia frowned and interrupted him. Please call me Comrade Lin Chuxia. Haven't I told you many times that we can't be lovers or friends? I won't let you come to me. Why do you keep doing it again and again? Are you going to embarrass me? No, Yao Xinchen waved his hands repeatedly. I don't want to embarrass you, I really like you, and I really have something to ask you. In Chuxia, I want to change my job, what do you think? Lin Chuxia was stunned. She knew that Yao Xinchen's job was provided by Suqin. Yao Xinchen had always loved that job so much. Why did he give up now? You and Suqin had a falling out, did you lose your job? Yao Xinchen's face looked a little embarrassed. After a moment, he shook his head. No, it's true that Suchin and I broke up, but changing jobs is also my real idea. I just want to hear your opinion. What does this have to do with me? Lin Chuxia looked at him steadily. Yao Xinchen, if you continue to be so messy and unclear about the situation, I will notify my boss and let them handle it. Do you really have to be so heartless? Yao Xinchen looked at Lin Chuxia with a gloomy look. After all, we have a good relationship. After all, I really like you. Can you do this? Can you find a mirror and take a good look at yourself? There must be a limit to narcissism. Yes, we had an easy time, but you broke up with me after meeting Gao Ji. Your feelings for me now should be the same as your feelings for Suchin back then, right? A grown man, so shameless, you really taught me a lot. Today is the last time I emphasize that not only is it impossible for you and me to be friends, but we are not even friends. If you show up at this door again or meet me by chance on the road again, I will let my boss handle it. This matter. You. As soon as Yao Xinchen said the word you, Lin Chuxia had already entered the door, and he could only stand there with his mouth half open. How could things be like this? Didn't Lin Chuxia once cry and shout that she wanted to marry him? If he had known this, he wouldn't have messed around like this, but now it's better, it's really a piece of cake. At this time, Chu Xia called her grandma and grandpa, and Zhao Qiwei also told her the latest developments of Suchin and Yao Xinchen. The two broke up, Yao Xinchen's job was also lost, and everything was back to square one. After hanging up the phone, she happened to see Lin Chuxia busy in the kitchen. Chuxia hesitated and walked over. My cousin just told me that Yao Xinchen and Suchin broke up and their jobs are gone. I know. Lin Chuxia turned to her and smiled. I guessed it. He asked me if he wanted to change his job. I told him no directly. Moreover, I also said that if he kept pestering me, I will tell my boss and ask him to take care of him. Okay. Chu Xia smiled and nodded. It's not worth it for a man like that. Yeah. Lin Chuxia nodded vigorously. When we first separated, I was a little sad, but now, I already know that kind of man is not worthy. Now I just want to work hard, study hard, repay you and my employer's family for their kindness, and at the same time make my parents live a more comfortable life. This is enough. Efforts will always pay off. Come on. Chu Xia made a cheering gesture to her, turned around and returned to the main hall. It was already agreed that they would stay here for one day and leave early the next morning. Therefore, the whole family was sit there and talk. Zhang Yuzheng went to Che's house as soon as Chu Xia sat down. Luo Xiaoxian whispered in Chu Xia's ear, the call I just received said that Zhang Yuzheng left not long after we left. Chu Xia curled her lips. It's expected. This man. Luo Xiaoxian shook her head. He's really utilitarian, and he can turn things around really quickly. I'm really convinced. Do you think the man standing outside is any different from him? Chu Xia spread her hands as she spoke. That's what this kind of people are like. It's not surprising that they do anything without a bottom line. Then do you think he will continue to be with Che Yelai? Luo Xiaoxian asked. Yes. Chu Xia nodded. From the moment my mother agreed to take action, they were destined to be together. Let's put it this way, even if Che Yelai is crazy and paralyzed now, Zhang Yuzheng will also. I won't dislike her. This man. Luo Xiaoxian shook her head, really not knowing what to say. Facts proved that Chu Xia's guess was completely correct. Zhang Yuzheng took Che Yelai home from Che's house that day. After much hesitation, Qiao Ying thanked Zhao Yulan. In any case, Che Yelai is her aunt. If her aunt does not have a good home, her mother will always worry about her, and her mother is a very kind person. Over time, she will definitely. I will feel more and more guilty, and one day when it reaches the breaking point, I might have a fierce quarrel with my father, then take my aunt home, and it is possible that there will be no peace in the family. Therefore, Sometimes people who are kind and affectionate may be good or bad to outsiders, but not necessarily to family members. But this time, Zhao Yulan's intervention actually rescued Che Yaping. Qiao Ying felt grateful. She originally wanted to repay her with actions without saying it, but in the end, she couldn't help but say thank you. The words came out. Qiao Ying, don't be so open-minded. Zhao Yulan sighed, as if explaining to her and others, we are all women. If you can help, just help. The corners of Chu Xia's mouth curled up unconsciously. She now felt that her mother's hand was quite good. For a villain like Zhang Yuzheng, it was too easy for him to live a peaceful life. As for Che Yelai, after this incident, I have received the retribution I deserve. From now on, my knot in my heart should be gone. Early the next morning, the group set off early to pick up Zhang Erniu and Luo Hunky from Zhang Erniu's house in Hengxin Commune, and then embarked on their return journey. Although it was only a few days, to the Zhou family, it seemed like they had been separated for a long time. Therefore, as soon as the car stopped outside the door of the ancestral house, a group of people headed by Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou came to greet them. Out. To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 698. Please remember the website address of this website. Please recommend promotional introduction to your QQ group Weibo/WeChat forum post bar. First update arrived. Don't talk about the baby yet, wait until everyone calms down while getting out of the car. Chu Xia whispered to Zhou Mikang that if he didn't say anything about it, others wouldn't. Zhou Mikang agreed happily. In fact, he also had this plan. If he said it now, the elders would be very excited. After telling each other about their farewells, Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou asked a few people to go back to their rooms to rest quickly, saying that they would wake everyone up during dinner. The drive back was really tiring, and even Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe didn't refuse and went back to the room. Don't you feel uncomfortable? After entering the room and only the two of them were left, Zhou Mikang put his arms around Chu Xia's shoulders and asked with a worried look on his face. No, I'm just tired. As she spoke, Chu Xia couldn't help but yawn, and Zhou Mikang picked her up and walked to the bathroom. What are you doing? Chu Xia pushed him nervously, struggling to get off. You are so tired, I will help you take a bath. Zhou Mikang glared at her. I have a sense of propriety. No, Chu Xia refused without thinking. I can't move, why do I need you to help me take a bath? Put me down and hurry up. We are husband and wife. That's not okay. As she spoke, Chu Xia intensified her struggle, but Zhou Mikang had no choice but to let her go. Isn't this a special situation today? You can't work too hard now. Be obedient, okay? How can you make me tired after taking a shower? If you are really giving me a shower, you are trying to make me tired, Chu Xia said and pushed him hard. Get out. Get out. Knowing her temper, Zhou Mikang had no choice but to withdraw, but he worriedly warned, if you feel uncomfortable, call me quickly. Chu Xia glared at him, don't curse me, okay? You know I didn't mean that. As soon as he finished speaking, the bathroom door was closed. Zhou Mikang sighed with a wry smile and turned to make the bed for his little wife. After a break in early summer, Zhou Mikang quietly retreated. Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou were sitting in the hall chatting away. When they saw Zhou Mikang coming downstairs, they stopped talking and looked at him with a smile. Grandpa. Grandma. After saying hello, Zhou Mikang sat next to the two elders. I have something to tell you now. You can just say whatever you want, and you still take it so seriously. Old Mrs. Zhou smiled and poked him. When did you become such a mother-in-law? Joe Mikang looked at the two of them seriously. You must promise me not to be surprised after I finish speaking, and that you must do as I ask. Otherwise, I won't say anything now. Can you be more relaxed? Mr. Joe stared at him displeased. Your mother is right. When did you become such a mother-in-law? Stop talking like this again. It's okay not to say anything, as long as you don't regret it. Joe Mikang leaned back comfortably. Changing the subject, we're not here these days. Is there nothing going on? This naughty kid. Old Mrs. Joe nodded his forehead angrily. Tell me you are still enthusiastic. Come on, Grandma will agree to your request. Joe Mikang looked at Mr. Joe. I promise you to. Reluctantly, Mr. Joe had no choice but to make a promise. Joe Mikang glanced at Lin Yangkaiu, who was helping to prepare dinner in the kitchen. Then he said, you still have to promise me and persuade my mother to listen to me. Okay, this time, the two elders did not express any doubts and readily agreed. Based on their understanding of Joe Mikang, they knew that he was asking like this. It must be that what you want to say is very important. Instead of wasting time on you and me, it is better to know the result happily. You are going to be great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers. The two elders looked at Joe Mikang blankly without any reaction. Helplessly, Joe Mikang said another way, I want to be a father too. Really, 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 Mrs. Joe's lips trembled with excitement, and Mr. Joe stood up immediately. Who walked to the door, turned back, and after breathing hard, looked at Joe Mikang eagerly. This news is good, 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 so good. I took Chuxia to the hospital in their county for a checkup. The result should be fine. I want to take her to our maternal and child health hospital for a checkup tomorrow. Yes, yes, we will go tomorrow too. Old Mrs. Joe rubbed her hands together excitedly. Why is this kid so upbeat? Ha ha ha. Mr. Joe grinned and giggled for a while, and said, now I see how my father will show off to me. I will have a great-grandson or granddaughter, he he he. Grandpa, Grandma, I still have a request. Joe Mikang's face became serious. You also know that Chuxia hopes to make some progress in her career, so as long as her physical condition allows, I don't want to keep her at home. Mrs. Joe immediately interrupted him. How can that be done? Chuxia is already weak. It would be inappropriate to go to the hospital to work now. What if something happens? If it is not convenient for her to go to the hospital to work, let her go directly to school to study after school starts. Then rent a house next to the school and let my father-in-law and mother-in-law stay with her there and come back every week. Is that okay? Is this what Chuxia means? Old Mrs. Joe asked. No, Joe Mikang shook his head. She didn't know that I discussed this matter with you, but she had communicated with me before and hoped that she would not be allowed to stay at home as long as her body allowed it. She is only 18 years old, and she is at the age where she loves to have fun. If she is kept at home like this, not only will she not be able to recuperate better, but it will actually affect her health. I thought about it over and over on the way back. She has a great relationship with her father-in-law and mother-in-law. She must be very happy with them by her side. If she is happy, the baby in her belly will naturally be healthy. Moreover, for her father-in-law and mother-in-law, being able to stay with her is the happiest thing. If Grandpa Juan is willing, he can live with them. As for our side, when I was here, I would pick her up for a reunion day every week. If I went on a mission, I would ask the driver to pick her up. Although Chuxia is young, she is not indifferent. If her body does not allow her to continue studying, she will definitely return home. The old couple remained silent for a long time. To be honest, the news was too sudden. As soon as the surprise came to their hearts, their grandson came with such a request. They couldn't accept it. At this time, they certainly hope that their granddaughter-in-law can stay at home, receive the best care, and give birth to the next generation of the Joe family. However, What Sun Tzu said seems to make sense. An 18-year-old girl would probably not be happy if she was trapped at home. Especially Chu Xia's character is not the kind of person who covets comfort. Grandpa, Grandma, Chu Xia is my wife. It is impossible for me not to feel sorry for her. I have considered all aspects before making such a decision. Having been married to Chu Xia for so long, you should already know what my personality is. In fact, you know in your mind whether my decision is the most correct. That is to say, during this period of pregnancy, she came back less. After giving birth, she would have to take at least a year off from school. By then, she and the child would have to stay at home. The old couple still didn't speak. Zhou Mikang was not in a hurry and sat there quietly waiting for the old couple to figure it out. "Old man, what do you think?" Finally, Mrs. Zhou spoke, but she first asked Mr. Zhou for his opinion. "Hey," Mr. Zhou said with a heavy sigh, "I listen to you. Anyway, I have to choose the best way for Chu Xia." This is tantamount to indirectly agreeing to Zhou Mikang's request. Old Mrs. Zhou looked at Zhou Mixang. "Xiaomi, you heard what your grandfather said, so I'll do what you did, but you'd better rent a bigger house next to the school. At that time, your mother and I can also go over to help take care of Chu Xia. As for the servants, we will not send them there to avoid making your father-in-law and mother-in-law uncomfortable." Zhou Mikang nodded in agreement. "Okay, just do as Grandma said. I will rent a larger house and prepare all the furniture and so on. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 699. The first update is coming. After taking a shower in early summer, she came out to dry her hair and breathe away. She was really tired. Some things are just so strange. I didn't know what was wrong with the bun in my stomach. After I found out, all kinds of symptoms appeared immediately. But it was the best age after all. After sleeping for more than an hour and waking up, she felt refreshed and comfortable everywhere. Just after changing clothes, Zhou Mikang opened the door and came in. "Why did you wake up so soon?" He looked at her nervously. "Are you feeling uncomfortable?" Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him and was too lazy to answer him. Why did she ask her this question every time? It felt like he was specifically looking forward to making her uncomfortable. Zhou Mikang looked at her complexion, with a smile on his lips. Okay, I was wrong. I saw you woke up so soon, so I was worried about you. Are my parents up?" Chu Xia asked. "No, they are too tired during this period, and they are pretentious. How can they rest so quickly? The meal will be late. Do you want me to go out for a walk with you?" "No." Chu Xia shook her head without thinking. "Why am I going for a walk in this cold weather? Others saw it and thought there was something wrong with my brain. Are you shy that others know you are pregnant?" Zhou Mikang coughed lightly. "I already told the elders about this when you were taking a bath just now." You, Chu Xia looked at him angrily. "Didn't you promise me not to talk for the time being? How can you keep your words? I will never believe you again. Sooner or later, we have to say, can you delay today or tomorrow? The result will be the same." Zhou Mikang looked at her seriously. "You don't really think this is embarrassing, do you?" "No." Chu Xia sat back on the bed willfully. "I don't think this matter is embarrassing. I just want to get the matter settled. After all, the teacher and senior sister have already gone to work. I always go to give them a New Year's greetings and hand over. Hand over? In your mind, your grandparents, parents are so unreasonable." "It's not unreasonable, but they will definitely be worried about me and don't like me going to the hospital. I don't want to make them unhappy, but if I don't go like this, I feel sorry for the teacher." "I know. You promised me to go to school during my pregnancy. I can definitely do it, but besides that, I also want to take care of the teacher's side of things. And Mr. UN, he is so kind to me and thinks so highly of me, so I have to go and say goodbye to him, right? Hey, he must be very disappointed when he finds out. I promised to learn from him before. Jo Mikang interrupted her helplessly. Can we stop thinking so much all at once? Don't worry so much about what others think. Right now, your health is the most important thing, do you understand? I understand, but they are all good to me. They are kind, how could I not care about what they think? If they are insignificant people, of course I will not care. Right. Yes, Chu Xia looked at him puzzled. Do you think I'm lying? I'm not lying, I feel like you're running away. Jo Mikang looked at her steadily. You have found various reasons, but the most fundamental reason is actually this. You don't want to be a mother so early, so you are conflicted in your heart and always thinking about escaping. You can refute me, but calm down. Then, if you think about it carefully, you will understand whether what I said is true. Chu Xia remained silent and didn't know what she was thinking. Anyway, she was not in a particularly good mood ever since she learned that she had a baby in her belly. Before, she thought it was because one thing after another happened at home that affected her mood, but now that she thinks about it, it doesn't seem to be that way. For example, when she was at Jiao's house, she actually disagreed with my mother's intervention in Che Yelai's matter, but she only gave in after a slight objection. At that time, she felt that she didn't want my mother to regret it in the future, but now she thinks about it. The bigger reason seems to be that I can leave one day late. Also, when she arrived at the Zhang family, she even hoped that the Zhang family's soon-to-be daughter-in-law, who had broken off the engagement, would make a fuss, giving her a reason to stay and delay for one more day. It's not that she doesn't know these hidden thoughts, it's just that she doesn't want to think about them and is deliberately avoiding them. After all, she still couldn't accept becoming a mother at the age of 18. Well, even if her real age was 22 and she became a mother, she still couldn't accept it. You are still a child and you are about to become a mother? However, she also knew that she had to accept it or not. If she dared to say that she didn't want this child now, everyone in the family would be heartbroken, including her parents. Moreover, she just couldn't accept it. If she were asked to abort the child, she would not be able to bear it. After all, this was the fate between the child and her, and she could not kill him, her. She breathed a long sigh of relief and forced a smile to look at Jo Mikang. I will slowly adjust myself. Maybe it's because I just started getting pregnant and it's hard for my body and mind to adapt. Hey, with a heavy sigh, Jo Mikang hugged her. You look like this make me feel very distressed and blame myself. In fact, I have thought about it, if you really don't want this child, you don't have to, or even, I secretly consulted the doctor, but the answer was that if you don't do it, it will do a lot of harm to your body, and the operation is very painful. Chu Xia, can you tell me, if you don't want children now, is it because you are too young or because you don't have confidence in me? Or in your heart, our relationship has not reached this stage yet? I paused, then Chu Xia said, I'm just not fully mentally prepared yet. I believe you, but this matter deviates from our previous plan, so I need to have an adaptation process. Jo Mikang, don't worry, I won't give up on this child. I haven't really thought about it. It's one thing not to accept it, but it's another thing to kill a life. You left one item unanswered, Jo Mikang insisted. Your personality is so complicated. Chu Xia raised her head and glanced at him funny. You're already married, and you're still saying that your relationship isn't that deep. What do you want to do? Do you still want to find someone else? Nonsense, Jo Mikang glared at her. I want to know your true thoughts so that I can decide what to do. You know, I don't want to force you. You mean, if I say I can't have feelings and don't want this child, you will really take me to abort the child? Hey, Joe Mikang sighed, if there is no harm to your body, I will do it immediately, but now, I must seek the opinions of experts to see which method will cause the least harm to your body. Isn't it the same as what you didn't say? Chu Xia curled her lips, as long as it is an operation, there is no harm to the body. But when it comes to the real degree of harm to the body, giving birth must be more harmful than abortion, right? Then don't you? If you don't let me give birth, why don't you give birth to me instead? I would like to, but I don't have the ability. Joe Mikang looked at the knife dumbfounded. Can you think of something reliable with your little head? Chu Xia snorted coldly, Tisk, I just can't bear to see you saying big things but not being able to do it. I'm not talking big words, I really think that way, and you remember, I will never force you to do anything in this life. As long as you decide, I will support you. Chu Xia looked at him seriously for a while, and the determination in his eyes finally made her stop arguing with him. I believe you, but I decided to have this child. Okay. Joe Mikang placed a gentle kiss on her forehead. All my efforts in this life are to make you and your child live a better life. You have to believe me. Chu Xia nodded, I believe it. I have already discussed it with my grandparents, and I will help you rent a larger house outside the school. Dad and Mom will live there and take care of you. When you get older, Grandma and Mom will go there often. However, you have to go home and live half a month before the birth, and after the child is born, you have to take care of yourself at home before going to school. Can you agree to these, right? Chu Xia's eyes widened in surprise. They agreed. Of course, if you don't agree, why should I tell you this? You're so good, Joe Mikang, I love you to death. Chu Xia jumped up excitedly and kissed him wildly on the face. Then, she noticed that the head of the group, Tongzi, was as red as a shrimp. Chu Xia felt uncomfortable herself. She was so excited that she got a little carried away. She thought they had known each other for so long and had been married for so long, but she had never been so proactive. Suddenly, her lips were blocked by him. She could feel his emotional excitement and body heat. She was nervous, but not worried, because she knew that he was a measured person. When the two walked out of the room, Zhao Yulan, Lin Baohe, and Lin Wenbin were already in the hall. Chu Xia could feel that when she went downstairs, the elders looked at her with worry. In an instant, her heart was filled with emotion. Although she was so worried, she could agree to let her go to school and live outside. How difficult was it for them to make this decision? However, when she thought about Yu Tao's pregnancy, although her elders were worried, they finally complied with Yu Tao's wishes and allowed her to continue working. She felt that her previous struggles were a bit excessive. The elders of the Zhou family have always been reasonable, or maybe she was frightened by her grandparents in Dalian village and Luo Xiaoxian's grandparents, so she thought a little too much for a while. Xia, come, sit next to Grandma. Mrs. Zhou patted the seat next to her, and Chu Xia sat down obediently. To be continued. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 700. Second update arrived. Yu Tao is already more than 4 months pregnant, and Wang Lei is 2 months pregnant. Now plus the beginning of summer, this is the happiest thing for the Zhou family. They haven't had a baby for many years, and now they are about to have a baby. 3. Is there anything happier than this? Mr. Zhou stood up and suggested that everyone celebrate the prosperity of the Zhou family and have a toast. Everyone except Mei Xiaofeng looked happy. She wiped the tears from her eyes while toasting. She was not jealous of Chu Xia, she just couldn't suppress her sadness when she thought of her lost baby. Moreover, after spending these days with Chu Xia, she really fell in love with his personality. In fact, she herself has the kind of temperament that likes people who like her, but doesn't bother to talk to them if she doesn't like them. She feels that the two of them are particularly compatible. But just like this, she felt particularly disappointed when she saw that the other party had a baby. This is a very complicated emotion. Zhou Zhonkong noticed his wife's depressed mood, so he quietly took her hand and shook it firmly. Mei Xiaofeng turned around and smiled at him to reassure him. After the meal, Mei Xiaofeng took the initiative to come to Chu Xia, congratulated her sincerely, and apologized. "Chu Xia, I just thought of the child I lost for a moment, and my face didn't look good. I don't know if you saw it. But I must explain to you that I am truly happy for you, please don't misunderstand me. I know, we have been together for so long, I know what kind of character you are, and I won't misunderstand you." Chu Xia pulled her to sit down. "Don't be too sad. Didn't the doctor say that it will last more than half a year? Then you can have another baby, so what you need to pay attention to now is to take good care of your body and make all preparations for giving birth to a healthy baby." "Yes," Mei Xiaofeng nodded vigorously. "I know that when I saw that you were all going to be mothers, I thought that I had lost a chance to be a mother because of my ignorance. I will never do such extreme things again, man. You always have to pay the price for your impulses. Chu Xia, if you have a minor conflict with your third brother in the future, don't be impulsive." "Okay." Chu Xia nodded, indicating that she had listened to what she said. "I'm sorry, I know you won't." I realizing that what she just said was a bit frustrating, Mei Xiaofeng hurriedly explained, "I'm just babbling. Don't take it to heart. I only went home for a few days. Why are you so familiar with me?" Chu Xia smiled and teased her, "If we don't live together often in the future, will you change your previous attitude towards me again?" "No way." Mei Xiaofeng laughed herself. "I don't know what's wrong with me. Hey, forget it. I won't explain it, but you already understand. What am I so confused about here? By the way, I have good news for you. Yun Duo got married, and my brother also went to attend. Then, he met the girl he liked at Yun Duo's wedding, and now the two of them are getting along very well." Really, Chu Xia also looked happy when she heard the news. She had a good impression of Mei Yitong. She was really happy for him to find the person he wanted so quickly. "Yes, this is really fate. As you know, my eldest brother and my eldest sister-in-law have always had a good relationship after their divorce, so my eldest sister-in-law sent the invitation to my eldest brother. The eldest brother was originally hesitant to go. After all, he was the ex-husband of the eldest sister-in-law, and he was afraid that the eldest sister-in-law's current husband would be jealous. Later, it turned out to be the eldest sister-in-law's current husband who found the eldest brother and said that he hoped he could participate. The eldest brother felt that it was a bit awkward for him to go alone, so he took me with him. The girl sat at the same table as us. I didn't think much about it at the time. 2 days later, the eldest brother told me that he had a girlfriend. The girl at the same table that day. I was shocked and asked him when we hooked up, why didn't I know? Then he told me that on the day of the wedding, he just thought that the girl was nice, but had no other ideas. However, the next day he went to attend the wedding of his comrades in arms, and he actually sat at the same table with the girl again. Both of them felt special. As we were destined, we chatted for a few more words. Then, the girl had a very cheerful personality and directly asked the elder brother if he was willing to have a relationship with her. The eldest brother told her that he was divorced and had attended his ex-wife's wedding. The other party didn't mind, and they immediately confirmed their relationship. I see it like this. My eldest brother will get married soon. Because of his matter, the elders in the family have forgiven me and Zhou Zhonkong and said that we need to discuss and organize a replacement wedding for us. That's great. Isn't this a double happiness for your family? Chu Xia was really happy for Mei Xiaofeng. Although she said she didn't mind, Mei Xiaofeng always cared about not getting her parents' blessing. Now but okay, everything has been solved. Yeah, I didn't expect that the matter would be resolved so smoothly. Mei Xiaofeng looked at Chu Xia with a blushing face. Actually, I have always been envious of your wedding. Now, I can finally be married by a clear matchmaker. I very happy. Chu Xia said congratulations again and added, generally speaking, if the elders disagree, they are not optimistic about the feelings of the younger ones. As long as they see that you have made the right choice, they will definitely support it. I'm also very lucky. If his temper was as stubborn as before, it would be really difficult for me to be happy with him. Fortunately, after what happened last time, he seemed like a different person. Therefore, I am quite content. It is better to be bitter first and then sweet than to be sweet first and then bitter. However, it is easy for people to be so dissatisfied. Originally, I was very happy that he got better, and I was also happy that I was blessed by my mother's family. However, when I learned that you were going to be a mother, I couldn't help but feel sad for the baby I had lost. I even vaguely blamed him. Hey, people, it's really easy to make mistakes if you don't have good control. In the future, I have to keep a close eye on myself and not make the same mistakes again. You should also supervise me, okay? Chu Xia smiled and responded, okay, I will remind you when I can see it. After returning to the room in the evening, Chu Xia told Zhou Mikang the news she heard from Mei Xiaofeng. Lao Mei is very fast. Are you curious about what kind of girlfriend he has found? Zhou Mikang, his wife's best friend Emo Ruofu, looked at her funny. Why don't you ask Mei Xiaofeng if you are curious? What's that girl's name and what she does? Maybe you know her. Chu Xia blinked her big eyes in embarrassment. She didn't tell me, and I didn't have the nerve to ask. I was afraid that she would feel embarrassed if she didn't know. However, I am really curious. Don't you think this kind of fate is very interesting? I know, I'll ask you about it tomorrow, okay? Hey, Chu Xia kissed him on the forehead with satisfaction. You're so good. Zhou Mikang. There was no need for Zhou Mikang to inquire. Mei Yitong himself came to the door the next day. He came to deliver invitations to a large family. Chu Xia, who was full of curiosity, leaned over and took a look at the invitation. Her eyes immediately widened. She definitely knew the boss. During the days when the family returned to their hometown in Chuxia, Wan Lao went to the capital, and sister-in-law Yin returned to her parents' home. Therefore, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe, who were most familiar with them, were a little restless. They were also close to others, but they had few common topics. Those who celebrate the new year don't have much to do, so sitting there is really painful. Mrs. Zhou is attentive and noticed the couple's absence, but she was not unhappy about it. After all, because of her life background and other reasons, she wanted the couple to talk to them about everything in such a short period of time. It is impossible to become a close relative. When a baby is born in early summer, the two parties will naturally become closer and closer. Old Mrs. Zhou looked at Chu Xia. Xia, these days when you are back home, Grandpa Jing and Grandma Jing come over and ask you when you will be back. Do you want to go over and see them? Okay, Grandma, let's go now. He noticed that Mrs. Zhou used you and glanced at the posture of her parents sitting there. How could Chu Xia not understand what the old lady was thinking, and immediately walked up to Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. Dad, Mom, let's go see my god-grandpa and god-grandma, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Lin Baohe quickly stood up and responded repeatedly. It was really more uncomfortable for him to sit like this without working than to kill him. Zhao Yulan walked up to Mrs. Zhou and said with a grateful face, "Aunt, thank you. We mainly can't get in the way, but we really treat you and your uncle as our biological father and mother. You kid, you're out of town again, I know everything." Old Mrs. Zhou waved her hand. Go, Chu Xia needs to do more activities now. I'll let Xiaomi go find you later, and we'll go to the hospital together. It was agreed yesterday that Chuxia would be taken to the maternal and child health hospital for a systematic checkup today. If Mei Yitong hadn't come, they would have set off right now. ZenMei was also at Jing's house. When she saw Chuxia's family coming in, she warmly greeted them and shouted inside, "Grandpa, Grandma, parents, who do you think is here?" Zhu Xingkan came out like a gust of wind, grabbed Zhao Yulan, and said affectionately, "Sister, are you going to live at home?" Then she looked at Chuxia again, "Little Chuxia, why don't you look very good? Have you not rested?" "Good." At this time, Jing Zhe happened to come out of the room. After hearing this, he looked at Chuxia seriously. Suddenly, he grabbed Chuxia's wrist and put his fingers on it. ZenMei bit her lip slightly uncomfortably. "Do you know about the pregnancy?" Jing Zhe asked Chuxia with a frown. "I just found out that it was checked at the hospital in our hometown," Chuxia said quickly. She knew that Jing Zhe was also involved in this area. Otherwise, Yamiru would not have found him at his door last time when she had a miscarriage. So, now seeing his serious expression, he felt a little nervous. "Brother, is there any problem?" To be continued. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 701. The first update is here, there is one more to come. There's nothing wrong for now. Don't be tired, stay in a good mood, and don't go to the hospital. Your body is weak and you can't compare to others. Jing Zhe's answer made Chuxia dumbfounded. Seeing his solemn look just now, she was frightened to death, so she glared at him dissatisfied. "Of course I know this, brother, don't wait for this, you pulled your face so long just now, what do you mean, who can't be scared to death? I thought you didn't know yet, that's too careless." After a pause, Jing Zhe warned with a serious face, "The first 3 months are a dangerous period, you must do as I say, don't think you are young, just don't care about anything. Women who are pregnant, have children, and are in confinement are most likely to leave the root of the disease. If the root of the disease is left, it will cause pain for a lifetime, so you must be obedient. Brother, can your sister-in-law adapt to the fact that you are such a mother-in-law?" Chuxia said while smiling at ZenMei. "Sister-in-law, there are people nagging in your ears every day, can you adapt to it?" "To be honest, I'm a little scared when I look at his current appearance." ZenMei shuddered as she said, "I hope he doesn't look like this in front of me. When you get pregnant, I will definitely be like this, so you should start to do some psychological construction now." Jing Zhe looked at ZenMei seriously, "It's not me who is verbose, it's you women. Although the truth is clear, however, sometimes when I get confused for the sake of beauty, I really can't do anything to you, so I have to take precautions before they happen. Brother, don't wait for such an unjust accusation." "When did I get confused for the sake of beauty?" Chuxia stared at him with a dissatisfied face. "You have to tell me the truth, otherwise I will not recognize you as my elder brother in the future. It's not such an injustice, it's too much." "What are you wearing?" Zhou Mikang frowned and pointed at the half-heeled leather shoes on Chuxia's feet. "These shoes are not tiring at all," Chuxia defended. "Compared with flat shoes?" Jing Zhe asked. Chuxia was silent and didn't speak. "Nonsense, even half-heeled shoes are no better than flat shoes, right?" However, Jing Zhe really didn't accuse her wrongly. When she went out, she only thought about the matching of shoes and clothes, and simply forgot that she should nip all dangerous factors in the cradle. "Why don't you speak?" Jing Zhe's tone was a little aggressive. He. Chuxia smiled flatteringly. "Brother, I didn't get used to it all of a sudden. Don't worry, I will definitely pay attention to it in the future and never go out wearing high heels." Zhao Yulan also smiled sheepishly, it's my fault that she forgot about it and didn't remind her. Zhao Yulan said so. Jingzhe was embarrassed, and explained to Zhao Yulan with a smile, that's not what I meant. I actually just wanted to remind Chu Xia that she is in a special situation now. She should pay more attention. In fact, there is no big problem in wearing this kind of shoes, except that she will be tired if she walks too much. I didn't make it so serious just to attract her attention. Look, let you scare me. Chu Xia looked at Jingzhe proudly. When you want to scare me again in the future, remember to observe the surrounding environment to see if my parents are there. They are not joking. If you scare them, you must be responsible. Child, what are you talking about? Your eldest brother is doing it for your own good, so why do you have such a series of complaints? Zhao Yulan glared at her daughter dissatisfied. Who would care about your life or death if you don't care about her? Apologize to your brother quickly. Brother, I'm sorry. Chu Xia apologized obediently to Jingzhe and made a face at him. I want to chat with sister-in-law. I don't want to listen to you lecturing me anymore. He walked to ZenMaleLead and pulled her up. Sister-in-law, I want to whisper to you. Okay. ZenMaleLead blushed and looked at Zhu Xingqian, who smiled and waved at her. Go ahead, you young people, go talk about what you like. You are bored just sitting here while we talk. Sister-in-law, has your wedding date been decided? After entering the house, Chu Xia asked, seeing that your relationship with eldest brother is progressing very quickly, the wedding date should be around the corner, right? We just got engaged. We want to spend some time together to get to know each other before we discuss marriage. ZenMaleLead looked at Chu Xia and said with a smile, your first priority now is to take good care of your health. Our business is don't worry, you will definitely be indispensable when we get married. I've never worried about my affairs. Chu Xia smiled and hugged ZenMaleLead's arm. Sister-in-law, it's not because my eldest brother cares too much about me. Are you jealous? Nonsense. ZenMaleLead pushed Chu Xia dissatisfied. You two brothers and sisters have a good relationship, why should I be jealous? Am I that kind of person? It's because I know you're not that kind of person that I dare to ask this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be looking for trouble. Chu Xia changed into a comfortable position and leaned on the backrest. I'm teasing you, do you really take it seriously? You have to take it seriously. After a pause, ZenMaleLead said, actually, when your brother held your hand just now when you came in, I felt really uncomfortable. I know he liked you before, and he accepted you as his god sister because he wanted it. It is a change of way to love you. I can accept this, but if he still can't figure out his feelings, I can't accept it. Fortunately, he only acted like that because he saw your physical condition. Chu Xia, I know you must have seen the change in my face at that time, so you used this method to relieve me. Thank you for your honesty. Don't worry, I'm not the kind of chicken-hearted person. I also know that his current feelings for you are more of a brother-sister relationship. I won't make random suspicions. When ZenMaleLead said this, Chu Xia felt relieved. Indeed, she saw ZenMaleLead's change of face at that time. Keeping some things in her heart would only make her suspicions more and more serious, so she chose to speak out. However, if asked directly, both of them would be embarrassed. Therefore, she chose this method. Fortunately, her decision was correct and everything was as she expected. In fact, observation shows that the relationship between ZenMaleLead and Jingzhe has entered a positive track as of today. Both their interactions and their respective positions in each other's hearts are much more balanced than before. If it were before, no matter how obvious Jingzhe's feelings were today, she wouldn't mind. It's not that she doesn't pay attention to Jingzhe now, it can only be said that her position in Jingzhe's heart is more important, and her demands are naturally higher. A good romantic relationship is not one where one party is always chasing the other, but an equal amount of concern and admiration. The knot was lifted, and both of them felt much more relaxed. Have you thought about the next arrangements? Zenmaleigh asked. Yes, Chusia nodded, I will be a serious student after school starts. My second aunt and the others actually agreed. Zenmaleigh looked at Chusia in surprise, with a look of disbelief on her face. Jo Mikang talked to them and agreed to rent a house next to the school. My parents will live there and take care of me. My mother-in-law will also go there when they have time. I will handle it when it is inconvenient to stay outside. Stop studying and move back to Joe's house. Third brother is so kind to you. Zenmaleigh sighed with emotion. Speaking of it, our relationship is a bit special. At first you were my soldier, and later you became my sister-in-law. To be honest, I recognize your excellence. But I think you are really not good enough to let third brother treat you like this. I hope you can cherish it and never let him down. Okay, I admit, I'm not that good, but aren't you being too offensive? Chusia deliberately frowned bitterly. I finally got a little confident, but I asked you to hit me back with a shot. Pretend, keep pretending. Zenmaleigh curled her lips at her. Do you think I will believe it? Whether what I say is true or not, you should know in your heart. When I say this, I am not dissatisfied with you, nor do I think that if you are not worthy of my third brother, I will sincerely do it for your own good. As far as I feel now, the third brother is really jealous of you, but you are more rational with him. I don't know if this will affect your relationship in the long run, but I hope you can take this matter seriously. I didn't expect that the other party would say this. After being stunned for a while, Chusia smiled sheepishly. Thank you. Actually, this is a matter of personality. I didn't mean it. I know you didn't do it on purpose. If it was really on purpose, I wouldn't tell you, and the third brother wouldn't like you. Zenmaleigh smiled at her. I'll tell you, please listen, don't cause trouble, the most important thing is for two people to be comfortable together. It's so difficult to be a human being. You say this now and then say that again. What on earth do you want me to do? Chusia sighed helplessly. In fact, she understood the fundamental reason why she gave others such an impression. In this era, although men and women are said to be equal and women are even busy developing in the direction of men, due to the influence of past thinking, no matter how good the relationship between a man and his wife is, he will only care about and considerate his wife in private when no one is around. I am absolutely embarrassed in front of others, let alone negotiating with elders for my wife. Especially because of Jo Mikang's character, everything he did for her, in Zenmaleigh's opinion, was a kind of pampering without self, and she was a typical example of not knowing how to be blessed in the midst of blessings. In fact, she was grateful and moved. However, in the relationship between husband and wife in later generations, it is very normal for a man to care about a woman and do these things for her. Therefore, she naturally accepted it very calmly, but she did not expect that she would be misunderstood by Zenmaleigh. But she couldn't explain this. Could it be that she told the other party that she also loved her third brother and had the same feelings for her? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 702. Second update arrived. Jo Mikang, do you also think that I am a little too rational in my relationship and don't know how to be grateful? After all the examinations were completed and the family dispersed to wait for the results, Chusia finally had the opportunity to spend time with Jo Mikang alone. So asked. Who said anything to you again? Jo Mikang looked at his wife. Did Maleigh say anything to you that made you unhappy? Chusia shook her head. No, everything she told me was for my own good. I just felt it from everyone's attitude. It seemed that everyone thought you did too much for me, and I was too cold. Jo Mikang, is it possible that one day you will be tired of me like this and no longer want to talk to me? Jo Mikang frowned. Don't pay attention to them from now on. They are just looking for trouble and causing trouble. If you do this, I won't say anything to you in the future. Chusia pouted dissatisfiedly. Obviously everyone is doing this for my own good, but if you make trouble, who will dare to care about me in the future? You. Joe Mikang looked at his little wife speechlessly. When did I say I was going to make trouble? You just give them a few warnings, but aren't you just making trouble? Chu Xiao remembered what Zheng Meili said, and quickly turned the dissatisfaction on her face into a smile, and stepped forward to hold Joe Mikang's arm. I just want to ask you how you feel in your heart. My feeling is that it's best if you get along with me naturally, Joe Mikang said, patting her cheek. It's better not to put on this fake smile. Disgusting, Chu Xiao rolled her eyes at him. It seems you are the one who doesn't deserve abuse. Well, you can torture me as much as you want, as long as you don't hold yourself back. The little nurse passing by heard the conversation between the two. One of them couldn't hold it back and squirted. Seeing the two looking over, she quickly covered her face and ran away at a faster pace. There were several couples nearby waiting for the results of the examination, and they could see the disgust in their eyes. There are some who are envious, and there are also those who are disdainful. Chu Xia whispered to Joe Mikang, I won't talk to you anymore, so as not to have a prenatal checkup later. There are a lot of people pointing fingers at me. Let's see who dares. Keep your voice down, Chu Xia asked Joe Mikang anxiously. There is such a person. He would blow his beard and glare at the person next to him just for saying a word. Is it because the leader is used to giving orders? Does he regard this place as his military camp? The results of the inspection were very satisfactory to everyone. Moreover, there is one more satisfying thing, Chu Xia is pregnant with twins. When you get the results. Joe Mikang's face was almost deformed with excitement. This was something he never expected. If he hadn't been in the hospital, he really didn't know what crazy things he would have done. He could even think of going home and telling the elders how surprised they would be. Originally, the elders were supposed to come together. As a result, Mei Yitong's visit disrupted the plan, and he sneaked out quietly while everyone was chatting happily. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were also extremely surprised. Originally, I had been worried that there was no movement in my daughter's stomach, but now not only has there been movement, but two of them have come at once, as an elder. Their surprises were no less surprising than Joe Mikang's. After being happy for a while, Joe Mikang rushed to the doctor's office like a gust of wind. Chu Xia followed him reflexively, and saw the leader of his family holding the doctor's collar and asking him if twins would be in danger. Is there any way to ask people questions like this? Chu Xia really didn't know what to say. The doctor was naturally dissatisfied with Joe Mikang's behavior, however. Seeing the other party's tall appearance, he swallowed back his dissatisfaction and put on a twitching smile. As long as you strictly follow the doctor's instructions, there won't be much danger. However, nothing is absolute. I dare not give you a guaranteed ticket. What I can guarantee is that as long as you come for a prenatal checkup, I will be serious and responsible. You can tell by the look on the doctor's face that he really doesn't want Joe Mikang to come again. Chu Xia hurriedly stepped forward and dragged Joe Mikang out, not forgetting to apologize. Doctor, I'm sorry, he is too happy and a little out of control. Don't get along with him. I understand. The doctor said this, but his eyes were full of displeasure. No matter how happy you are, you can't grab the doctor's collar and play with it, right? Xiaomi, a woman about 40 years old, came over and saw Joe Mikang obviously stunned, then greeted, why don't you come to the hospital to see Aunt Guo? What's the matter? Hello Aunt Guo, Joe Mikang greeted politely, put his arm around Chu Xia's shoulders and introduced her. This is my wife Lin Chu Xia. Aunt Guo hasn't met her yet. Aunt Guo looked at Chu Xia with a smile, and nodded. Not bad, that's good, Xiaomi, you are an unreasonable kid. You didn't give Auntie a message when you got married. Are you afraid that Auntie will mess up your situation? Aunt Guo, you are overthinking. We didn't do anything big at the time. Considering that you were too busy, We didn't disturb you. Jo Mikang's attitude was always polite but distant. Chu Xia just said hello and left. Don't say a word. Will we do prenatal check UPS in our hospital in the future? Aunt Guo asked. It hasn't been decided yet. I came here for inspection because I took a fancy to the equipment we have here. Our hospital is not only leading the country in terms of obstetrics and gynecology equipment, but also in medical skills. Please stop being so half-hearted. I haven't seen you for several years. Why don't you go to my aunt's office? Another day. Jo Mikang refused. We just returned from a long journey from my wife's hometown yesterday, and we got up early again today. She needs to rest after a pause, he explained. My wife is pregnant with twins, are a bit harder. Okay. Aunt Guo nodded repeatedly. Let's talk about it next time when we come for a prenatal checkup, but we have agreed not to sneak around to avoid Auntie next time, okay? Okay. Jo Mikang nodded happily. Over there, Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan had been waiting silently. When they saw the young couple coming, they quickly followed. Aunt Guo and my mother used to be good friends. Aunt Guo had a daughter named Jin Lan, who was the same age as her eldest brother and at the same level. Jin Lan liked her eldest brother, but his eldest brother had no feelings for her. Aunt Guo wanted her eldest brother to be with Jin Lan, so she always whispered in her mother's ear, hoping that her mother would make the decision for Jin Lan. Her mother also liked Jin Lan very much and wanted Jin Lan to be her daughter-in-law, so she agreed. My mother agreed so happily because she thought that her eldest brother was single. However, when she was talking to her, the eldest brother revealed what happened between him and his sister-in-law. My mother is an open-minded person, and of course she would not force her eldest brother and his sister-in-law to break up. At first, my mother was too embarrassed to go to Aunt Guo to explain the situation, so she thought of finding a suitable time to talk about it. Unexpectedly, Jin Lan saw her eldest brother and sister-in-law when they were together. Then, Aunt Guo went to her mother angrily and asked her why she was playing tricks on her, and whether she deliberately played tricks on them because her family was easy to bully. Her mother explained the cause and effect to her. But Aunt Guo couldn't listen and insisted that her mother was deliberately playing tricks on them because she didn't like their family's conditions. She also made a fuss at the eldest brother's school and said that the eldest brother was Chen Shimei. If our family hadn't been rehabilitated at that time, my eldest brother's future might have been ruined by her. You can't feel anything when I say it now, but at the time, what she did was indeed too much. I don't want to talk to her now because I don't want her to get close to her mother anymore. A person with an extreme personality may set things up for you at any time. You also know my mother's character. She is too straight. For the sake of the whole family, it is better to let her go. Let them keep their distance. I didn't look for anyone when I went to the hospital for a checkup. It was also because of this. Several experts I knew about the relationship between Aunt Guo and my mother. If I looked for them, the news would inevitably be reported to Aunt Guo. I just didn't expect that. I avoided it and finally encountered it. If other hospitals didn't have B ultrasound machines, I definitely wouldn't have brought you here for examination. After getting in the car, Jo Mikang took the initiative to tell the story of the grievances between the Zhou family and Aunt Guo. Chu Xia saw something wrong with the interaction between Aunt Guo and Jo Mikang, but she didn't expect it to be for this reason. She wanted to tease Zhou Zikang about the peach blossoms, but she quickly took it back when the words came to her lips. This era was different from later generations, and she was afraid that Zhou Mikang would mind. After Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan heard this, they didn't know what to say. For a while, the atmosphere in the car became silent. Having been with Chu Xia for so long, how could Zhou Mikang not understand her character? He smiled and broke the silence. Are you saying that eldest brother is quite capable of causing trouble? He. Chu Xia concealed her smile after being exposed. I want to say that it is normal for a person as good as my eldest brother to have several girls he likes. Of course, you can also think about it in a different way. My words. This child. Zhao Yulan rubbed her daughter's head. How could you say that about your uncle? You can't be so insignificant in front of outsiders in the future. Chu Xia saluted in a decent manner. Yes. As soon as several people entered the Zhou family's door, Zhou Mixang was overwhelmed by the accusations of the elders. They were waiting to go together, but it was good that they left secretly, which made their hearts burn at home. If Mr. Zhou hadn't stopped them, everyone would have found the hospital. Zhou Xiangping and Zhou Jiping also came back. While the elders and Zhou Mixang were in a mess, they forced Chu Xia back to the room, one on the left and the other on the right. Second sister, fourth sister, when did you come here? Chu Xia asked with a smile after sitting down. I've been here a long time ago. Zhou Xiangping looked at Chu Xia bitterly. It's so embarrassing. It's such a big thing and it's so close, but you didn't go over to notify me. I'm too tired when I come back. I took a rest early, Chu Xia quickly defended. Xia, Xia. Before Zhou Xiangping could say anything, Lin Yan rushed in like an autumn wind, grabbed Chu Xia's hand excitedly, stared at her belly like a gold ingot, and couldn't close her mouth. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 703. Mom, what are you doing? Zhou Xiangping looked at her mother speechlessly. I can understand your excitement about becoming a grandma, but aren't you a little too scary like this? Step aside. Lin Yangkai pulled her daughter away, sat down next to Chu Xia affectionately, and took her hand. Xia, what do you want to eat? Mom will make it for you. Mom, I'm not hungry now, Chu Xia said quickly. Mom, if my sister-in-law sees you like this, she will definitely feel uncomfortable. What's wrong with you? Lin Yangkai glared at her little daughter. Xia is pregnant with twins, which must be harder than the first. Shouldn't I, as a mother-in-law, care about her? Besides, your sister-in-law is not that narrow-minded at all. Yes, she knows that Chu Xia is young and weak, so she won't feel uncomfortable. They are actually twins. Zhou Jiping looked at Chu Xia with surprise. Brothers and sisters, are they really twins? Yes, Chu Xia nodded with a smile. I found it out during the examination today. Third sister-in-law, you are so awesome. Zhou Xiangping also looked surprised, then caressed her belly that had not yet swelled. Why am I not so lucky? Zhou Jiping rolled her eyes at her. Just be content. Look at me. Wouldn't you be jealous to death? Second sister. Zhou Xiangping's face was a little embarrassed. How could she forget about the second sister who had a miscarriage? Isn't saying this just adding salt to the second sister's wound? Okay, I'm not that fragile. Besides, it's not like I can't give birth anymore. How about you? Zhou Jiping said and breathed a sigh of relief. Some things depend on his two sides. I am indeed very sad to have lost my child, but from another perspective, after this incident, your brother-in-law has understood who is most important to him and where he stands. Then he won't bother with messy things at his relatives' houses anymore, and I won't have to suppress my temper to please them. The way it is now, it's really good. As long as I take good care of my body, I can reconsider having children in a year and a half. Just think of that child as the little angel who came to repay your kindness and save my marriage with your brother-in-law. Second sister, it's great for you to think like this, but it's also true. See how good your relationship is with your brother-in-law now. Of course, it's not that you didn't have a good relationship before, but seeing how you get along, there is always a kind of relationship that you carefully maintain. The feeling of being a brother-in-law. It won't happen now. I feel very comfortable seeing you guys together now. Lin Yangkai also echoed her youngest daughter's words. That's right. Now when Jiping and Minghui are together, they really feel like a couple, as before. It always makes people feel too polite. Jiping, now that you have figured it out, get along well with Minghui. In this life, a woman will live completely different lives if she meets the right person and if she meets the wrong person. It turns out mom thought you met the wrong person. Now it seems that this should be a disaster that you must face. The past is in the past. As long as you are happy in the future, it is better than anything else. Mom, I know. Zhou Jiping's smile was very relaxed. Although I envy Chu Xia and Xiangping to be mothers, I am not in a hurry. I will definitely take care of my health before thinking about it. Don't worry, Mom. My children don't like to get into trouble. Of course I can rest assured. Lin Yangkai looked at the three of them with emotion. There are always some hardships in life. Sometimes these hardships are not bad things. They can make people stronger. Know how to value. However, no matter what time, I hope that you brothers and sisters can get along well with each other. Relatives are one of the most precious treasures in a person's life. If there is harmony between relatives, everything will go smoothly. The age of early summer is here. Mom hopes that you two will care more about her in the future. Sometimes even if mom cares more about her, don't be jealous. In mom's heart, you are all equally important, but Chu Xia has not lived in this family since she was a child. Mom must help her adapt to this family as soon as possible and truly feel that she is a member of this family. Seeing that everyone was in a good mood, Chu Xia hesitated and said, Mom, I already regard myself as a member of this family. However, the fourth sister was right just now. My sister-in-law and I are both your daughters-in-law, and we are both pregnant. Baby, if you favor me too much, my sister-in-law will inevitably think too much. It's not that my sister-in-law will be jealous of me, I'm worried that she will think too much about whether she did something bad that made you less fond of her. A daughter-in-law is not a daughter after all, just like me. If I were in the position of my sister-in-law, I would think the same way. Mom's greatest blessing is that she has two daughters-in-law, both of whom are reasonable and considerate of others. Lin Yangkai smiled and stroked Chu Xia's head. Don't worry, Mom knows her way around and won't let your sister-in-law think too much. Zhou Xiangping winked at Chu Xia playfully. Third sister-in-law, don't look at how careless Mom is at ordinary times. This kind of relationship can be handled very easily. Otherwise, how could Grandma like Mom so much? Brother and sister, I heard that you still want to go to school, Zhou Jiping suddenly asked. Yes, I don't want to work at home, and I don't want to be too disconnected from society. Speaking of this, Chu Xia glanced at Lin Yangkai with some anxiety. After all, the elders did not know that she was pregnant when they promised her to go to school. They are twins, and now, she is really not sure whether her elders can agree to it. This was something she had been thinking about since she was diagnosed. Now that Zhou Jiping asked about it, she felt more relaxed. It was a knife to extend her head, and it was a knife to shrink her head. The earlier she knew the result, she would feel more at ease. Zhou Xiangping has been kept at home and taken care of these days. Therefore, when she heard Chu Xia say this, she nodded repeatedly. Sister-in-law, you are right, you can't stay at home. I have a feeling of being locked in a cage now. The feeling of being a giant panda is so depressing. Unfortunately, my husband and my mother-in-law are too stubborn and they won't even allow me to go to work. Fortunately, it's close to my parents' home, and they promised me that I could often go back to my parents' home to sit there when I was bored. Otherwise, I really don't know how I could survive. Mom, you can't be as confused as them. I think for pregnant women, no matter how careful they are in serving and protecting them, if they feel anxious, it will definitely be bad for them and their baby. Lin Yangkai frowned and stared at her daughter. Why, are you so worried now? Zhou Xiangping sighed. When I stayed at my husband's house, I was really stressed. Mom, you know their character. They don't like to talk much. The whole family sat there dryly, letting me drink soup and eating meat. I'm really about to collapse. I'll go talk to your mother-in-law later. If that doesn't work, you can live with your mother-in-law to raise the baby. This time is very critical. No matter how stubborn they are, they can't just follow their own temper. Zhou Xiangping was eager for this, and immediately looked flattering. I know that mom is the best to me. Listen to mom, there is no problem for the third sister-in-law to study, right? Yes, Lin Yangkao nodded, then looked at Chu Xia, who was obviously relieved. Xia, mom knows that you don't like being locked up at home at your age, and speaking of it, you should be at the age of study. So mom won't stop you. However, you must pay attention to your own body. If you feel a little uncomfortable, don't hold on. Mom is looking forward to holding grandchildren, but she also hopes that you will be healthy and not suffer too much. Chu Xia quickly promised, Mom, I know, I won't be ignorant, don't worry. If I were a little selfish, I would definitely keep you from being my companion at home. However, don't do to others what you don't want others to do. Third sister-in-law, are you my sister-in-law? Okay, of course. Chu Xia looked at Zhou Xiangping seriously. I have always been lucky that I have the best sister-in-law and the best sister-in-law. Mom, you see, hard work always pays off. Zhou Xiangping raised her eyebrows at her mother proudly. Don't say that I am ignorant in the future. How many of them can handle the relationship between sisters and sisters so well? That's because Chu Xia has a good personality. That's true. Zhou Xiangping nodded deeply. If it were Yamiru, I wouldn't have to fight her 3 times a day. Realizing that she shouldn't compare herself to this, Zhou Xiangping looked embarrassed. He looked at Chu Xia and said, Sister-in-law, I'm sorry, I didn't mention her on purpose. Don't be angry with me. In this hurry, he even used the word you, and Chu Xia glanced at her funny. You think too much, am I such a chicken? Besides, without Yamiru's comparison, you're not so satisfied with me yet. Why are you mentioning her so well? Zhou Mikang opened the door and came in. He just heard his wife's words and glared at her. There's no need to compare with her, you must be the best too. Tisk tisk. Zhou Xiangping curled her lips repeatedly. The third brother just fell into the bowl of the third sister-in-law. No matter what the third sister-in-law does, it is the best in the eyes of the third brother. Don't talk nonsense, it's time to rest in early summer. Zhou Mikang clearly gave the order to expel guests. I'm not tired, Chu Xia quickly defended. Her mother-in-law was still there. Isn't this too disrespectful of the occasion? You should rest even if you are not tired. The leader, Tongzi, didn't care what his wife was minding, and his tone of voice was absolutely unquestionable. Seeing Chu Xia's flushed face, Lin Yangkao glared at her son. Can't you talk properly? My daughter-in-law can't bear it at all. If you keep acting like this, I'll kick you out of the house. Mom, you're tired too. Go back and rest for a while, Zhou Mikang said as he pushed Lin Yangkao out, then turned back to Zhou Jiping and Zhou Xiangping and snorted, Why are you still standing there? What are you doing? How can I get along with everyone like this? After her mother-in-law and sister-in-law left, Chu Xia protested to the group leader Tongzi with a dissatisfied look on her face. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 704. Second update. Don't you guys get along very well? What's there to worry about? Zhou Mikang forced his wife into the bed. Don't you know what your top priority is? You're still here talking nonsense to them. If you continue to behave like this and don't know how to cherish yourself, don't go to school. Are you being too unreasonable? Chu Xia protested. I'm not stupid, how can I not know whether I am tired or not? Besides, the second sister and the fourth sister are not talking nonsense. I am very happy chatting with them. If you really want to do what's best for me, you shouldn't be so arbitrary. Okay, I made a decision, and I will change it in the future. Can you have a good rest now? I'll come over and call you when lunch is ready. Jo Mikang said, reaching out to tuck the corner of her quilt, as gently as patting a child. Patting her gently, Chu Xia had a black line on her head. This action was too inconsistent for the tough leader Zhongzi. Go and do your work. I'll lie down for a while and fall asleep. It was too warm in the bed, and Chu Xia was too lazy to push his hands out, so he put his shoulders on Gong Jo Mikan like a beetle. The cute appearance of the little wife made the group leader Tongzi unconsciously raise the corners of his mouth, and his facial lines softened. The sun shone on his face through the screen window. Chu Xia was stunned unconsciously, and the smile on the corner of the long-haired man's mouth became even thicker. He leaned over and kissed the corner of the lips of his little wife who was staring blankly at him. He whispered, "What did you find? You are so fascinated by it?" After being stunned for a moment, Chu Xia came back to her senses, her face slightly unnatural. "I thought of something and got distracted. I want to rest." "Get out." "Are you sorry?" Jo Mikang's finger crossed her cheek. "It's okay, I'm your husband, you can watch it if you like." "Who likes it?" "Don't be sentimental," Chu Xia glared at him. "Are you going out or not?" "No more nagging." "I won't sleep anymore." Okay, go to sleep." Jo Mikang chuckled and retreated. Thinking of her embarrassment just now, Chu Xia felt that her cheeks were about to burn. She was really embarrassed. To be able to be fascinated by her husband. Feeling that his young wife was infatuated with him, Jo Mikang was in a good mood and did not bother Zhou Jiping and Zhou Xiangping after going downstairs, which made the two sisters quietly sigh in relief. Although one was an elder sister and the other was a younger sister, Jo Mikang's image in their minds was so deeply ingrained that they had been extremely anxious since they came down from upstairs. When it was almost lunch, Zhou Yueping's family also rushed over. "I didn't understand much on the phone." As soon as he entered the door, Zhou Yueping rushed to Jo Mikang's side. "Xiaomi, you are pregnant in early summer, right?" "Yes." Zhou Mikang nodded, "and they are twins." Twins, Zhou Yueping looked at Lin Yangkaiu uncertainly. "Sister-in-law, are my ears correct?" "No." Lin Yangkaiu smiled and nodded. Xiaomi and her in-laws accompanied Chu Xia for a checkup today. They are indeed twins. Zhou Yueping looked at Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe again. After they both nodded, she twisted her leg again before she truly believed her ears. "Mom, are you okay?" Su Shuxian looked at her mother speechlessly. "Who would joke with you about this kind of thing? Seeing you confirming it over and over again, people who don't know would think you don't want to be twins." "Nonsense." Zhou Yueping glared at her daughter. "I'm so happy, it's hard to believe it." As she said this, she rubbed her hands vigorously and looked at Lin Yangkaiu. "Sister-in-law, does my eldest brother know?" "I know, I called him last night, but he can't leave these days. He said he would come back after finishing the work at hand." Lin Yangkaiu smiled unconsciously as she spoke. "I had a son back then. He was not that happy. When I told him yesterday, he sat down on the ground and reported to me with a smile." "Ha." Zhou Yueping smiled happily, turned around and punched Zhou Mixang. "Lao San, you are still the best, not bad." Of course the group leader Tongzi accepted the compliment without hesitation. Su Shuxian shook her head at him speechlessly. "Third brother, are you ashamed?" Zhou Mikang looked calm. "What you said is the truth, what is there to be ashamed of?" Su Shuxian. After lunch, Chu Xia proposed to go to the hospital the next day. The reason she was able to stay at home for so long was because this was the first year of her marriage, and the Zhou family's father and son were particularly accommodating because of their contributions. Now that an accident had occurred and she couldn't stay in the hospital, she should have gone there earlier. Make things clear. After a moment of hesitation, the elders agreed. Ma Chao and Zhang Qi haven't withdrawn yet. I don't know if the superiors were negligent or had other ideas. But now it's just right. With them here, there's nothing to worry about. Since seeing Chu Xia at noon, Zhou Yueping has occupied the seat next to her and pushed his own nephew aside. At this time, he held Chu Xia's little hand with some worry. "Xia, let Xiaomi do this. I've done it for you, but you'd better avoid going to the hospital." "Sister-in-law, it's okay." Chu Xia smiled at her. "My body has become very strong after these few months of training. It's just that you always think I'm weak in your impression. I know my sister-in-law feels sorry for me, but the teacher once said that no matter adults or children, proper exposure to places with bacteria can actually improve their resistance. Don't worry, sister-in-law, I know it. What you said makes sense. I can't stop going to the hospital for check-ups in the future." Zhou Yueping looked at her daughter. "Shuxian, you have nothing to do tomorrow anyway, so go with your third sister-in-law." "Okay." Su Shuxian agreed happily. She happened to be bored at home and longed for a place to walk around. Chu Xia had a good impression of Su Shuxian, so she didn't refuse her. Besides, they were about the same age, so it wouldn't be a bad thing for them to hang out frequently. Stepping into the door of the hospital again, Chu Xia couldn't tell how she felt. After all, this was one of the longest places she had stayed in this era. Here, Song Xiao and Mr. Yuan gave her the most selfless care, both in life and in study. Therefore, she always felt that she was very lucky. Although she came to an era that she could not adapt to at all, her family, friendship and love did not leave her. This allowed her to adapt to this era bit by bit and complete her emotional life. Transfer: if she were asked to leave now and return to her own era, she would definitely not be able to bear it. It's not that she has no feelings for her biological parents, but that she feels that this era has given her a lot, and she has to bear more. If they leave her, the lives of Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe will become dark. Zhou Mikangyu will also be depressed for a long time. As for other people, the impact may be lighter, but they will not be happy in a short time. Along the way, countless scenes flashed through her mind, and she didn't come back to her senses until she came to the door of the office. Early summer. When she looked up and saw early summer, Wang Jing's eyes were full of joy. Another temporary worker, XXX, looked more confused. She was happy but worried when she saw Chu Xia. Does Chu Xia come back? Does it mean she should leave too? When Wang Jing spoke, Song Xiao also raised her head and was stunned for a moment. She reflexively looked at the calendar and muttered, "Did I remember the wrong date?" "Teacher, no, it's not the 16th yet." Chu Xia came in with a smile, greeted Wang Jing, and sat directly opposite Song Xiao. "I came here to report the situation to the teacher." "What's wrong?" Song Xiao's expression suddenly became serious. "What happened? Do you want to extend the vacation?" "No." Chu Xia quickly shook her head. "Nothing happened, nothing happened." "Sister Jing, I want to go to the bathroom, can you take me there?" Su Shuxian, who had been silent after saying hello, suddenly picked up Wang Jing and walked out. After a moment of surprise, Wang Jing understood and took XXX. "Let's go, together." "I don't want to go now." XXX pushed back and struggled to free her hand, but Wang Jing glared at her and forcibly pulled her out. She turned around and closed the office door. Su Shuxian's approach made Song Xiao's face become solemn. "Looking at it like this, the matter is quite important, just tell me." "Well." Chu Xia's cheeks felt a little hot. It's me, I'm going to be a mother, and I may not be able to stay with the teacher for the time being." "Really?" Song Xiao grabbed Chu Xia and showed a happy smile. "This is a good thing, and it is what your mother-in-law has been looking forward to." "It's okay. It's the same as studying after the baby is born. I won't stay at home. I will go to school after school starts." Chu Xia told Song Xiao her plan. "Not bad, really good." Song Xiao's smile became even more gratifying. "You are a sensible child, and your mother-in-law is also open-minded." This arrangement is the best. In early summer, as long as you are determined, your future achievements will definitely not be underestimated. Watch for. Thank you, teacher, for your encouragement. I feel very guilty. I promised the teacher that I would study hard in the past 2 years, but I broke my promise. Don't say that. Work is not the most important thing in a person's life. It doesn't matter here. Now it's Mr. Liang's place. He has chosen you to be his apprentice. To be honest, that is a very good opportunity. Although his choice it's a bit inexplicable, but it is undeniable that being able to be by his side is absolutely rare. After a pause, Song Xiao continued, forget it, I don't care about this in advance, I will report it to the dean and let him go. Deal with it? Thank you, teacher. Why are you being so polite to me? I should help you both in public and private matters. Chu Xia, what you should do most now is go to Mr. Yuan. He really values you. Speaking of which, he taught you much more than I can teach you. Chu Xia nodded, teacher, I know. I'm going now. Let's have dinner together at noon. I'll come find you, okay. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 705. I'm going back to my hometown. I took the car in reverse and took the train back today. I'm so tired. I'll just take a little less and make up for it tomorrow. Experts of Yuan Lao's age can take leave until the 15th day of the first lunar month during the Chinese New Year, but Yuan Lao's parents have long since passed away. His only brother drew a clear line with him back then and has not resumed contact with him until now. Therefore, he has no relatives. He was walking around and simply went to work early. Chu Xia went to the office and didn't find him, so she turned around and went to the laboratory. Sure enough, the old man was meditating on the mannequin, and she quietly sat aside. About a quarter of an hour later, Su Shuxian came over. When she heard the footsteps, Chu Xia turned around and quickly smiled at her and made a silent gesture. Su Shuxian glared at Chu Xia with dissatisfaction, sat next to her and whispered, "Third sister-in-law, you are so shameless. I went out with Sister Jing and the others just to help you. It would be better for you to sneak away without waiting for me now. How can I explain to my mother, grandparents, and aunts when I go back? I'm sorry." Chu Xia smiled apologetically and said nothing else. Is that enough? Su Shuxian looked at her speechlessly. Anyway, can you give me a reason? Chu Xia sighed slightly. You have also seen that Mr. Yuan is particularly obsessed with medical skills. It is rare for him to recognize me and give me a chance to learn. As a result. At this point, Chu Xia couldn't help but sigh again. I just want to come and see him earlier. I can't blame you for this. Su Shuxian, who originally blamed Chu Xia, began to comfort the other party. Besides, this is a happy event. Look at how happy grandpa, aunt, and uncle are. Third sister-in-law, you know. My mother it is always said that you are the lucky star of the Zhou family. Since you and the third brother were together, the Zhou family has become more and more smooth. Chu Xia was a little embarrassed to be praised by Su Shuxian, so she said, "That's because my sister-in-law feels sorry for me." "No, my mother is telling the truth." Su Shuxian looked at Chu Xia seriously. "Before I met you, let alone joking with the third brother, we didn't even dare to talk properly. Every time we say hello to each other, we leave as soon as possible. He is far away. This matter is true, but Chu Xia can't accept it. Zhou Mikang's previous conflict with his family was because of Josei Aureo. To put it bluntly, he didn't want to go home or get close to everyone because he didn't want to see his father. After meeting her, the scar gradually healed. His character has become more and more peaceful, of course, only with his own family, so everyone became more and more relaxed when getting along with him. Even though this was the case, she couldn't really answer the question, and the two of them fell into silence. Fine. At this moment, Mr. Yuan noticed Chu Xia and waved to her in surprise. When did you come? Why didn't you greet me? Chu Xia hurried over. I see you're busy. I'll wait for you. In fact, I haven't been here for long. There is a disease. I have never been able to figure it out. Mr. Yuan waved his hand. Forget it, let's not get into trouble. Let's talk about it later. Don't you still have 3 days of vacation? Why did you come here today? Biting her lip, Chu Xia told the truth. Mr. Yuan, I broke my promise. For the time being, I may not be able to study with you. If you can still accept me as a student, I hope to follow you after I graduate study, okay. What happened? Mr. Yuan frowned. Tell me, if I can help, I will do my best. No, Chu Xia's cheeks turned slightly red. I'm pregnant. I can only go to school for the time being, but I can't get through the hospital. Really? Mr. Yuan clapped his hands happily. This is a good thing. Looking at your appearance just now, I thought something big had happened. It scared you to death. You kid is really yes. Is it possible that I am such an unreasonable old antique in your heart? No, Chu Xia waved her hands repeatedly. I just feel like I broke my promise, and I feel really guilty. I said I would study hard with you, but it ended up like this. Yuan Lao interrupted her with a smile. What is there to feel guilty about? You are a married person, and it is very normal to be pregnant and have children. If I can't even understand this, then I really have a psychological problem. Moreover, there is no conflict between you studying and studying with me. Originally I was hesitating about something, but now that you say this, I have made up my mind. What's going on? Chu Xia asked curiously. Let me give it a try first, and you will know when the time comes. Looking at the time, Mr. Yuan invited, come to my house for dinner this noon. My old lady and Yuan Hui are making dumplings at home. Mr. Yuan, I would like to invite you and the teacher to have dinner together at noon. Can you please invite your wife and sister Yuan Hui to come too? If the dumplings are already made, just cook them and bring them over and they will be counted as a dish, okay? You kid. Mr. Yuan shook his head helplessly. Who do you see going to a restaurant to eat with dumplings? Let's do this. I'll go back later and ask your wife to make more dumplings. I'll make some of Song Xiao's and yours at noon. Friends call over and join in the fun. After hesitating for a while, Chu Xia agreed. Mr. Yuan was sincere, and since the Yuan family had no relatives here, the house was always deserted during the Chinese New Year. It would be more or less lively and festive to have a New Year flavor. After the elders' matters were settled, Shuxia went back to find her friends. The first one is of course Lu Meijun. Today's information is not like that of later generations, where you can contact them by phone at any time. They have not seen or contacted each other since they broke up years ago. Therefore, when Lu Meijun saw Chu Xia, she immediately had a look of surprise on her face. Chu Xia, are you going to work now? No, I came over in advance to check on you. Chu Xia looked at her and smiled. It looks like she has eaten very well during the Chinese New Year, and her face has become round. Lu Meijun touched her cheek in annoyance. If you don't control your mouth, it will develop horizontally. I decided to eat a few meals according to my own temper before the 15th. After the 15th, I will lose weight seriously. Got fat. What's the point of losing weight? Chu Xia rolled her eyes at her. You're not fat now. I just said it casually. Do you take it seriously? You're only in your early 100s at most, right? I weigh 102 pounds. I was 98 years ago. It's only 4 pounds. Once the food is reduced after the new year, your weight will quickly return. By the way, are you busy now? I'll go to the teacher and explain it and everything will be fine. Just wait for me. After her words fell, she had already run away. Chu Xia smiled helplessly. Xiaoxian left, but you took over her class. Within 5 minutes, Lu Meijun and Jun Daoda returned together. The two of them are now studying with the same teacher, as good as one person, and their friendship is comparable to that of Luo Xiaoxian in early summer. To be continued.